just like Thomas HD and Go, but the Septos goes down. That generally is partner in crime, so Puncher is going to have to give these names in that elimination feed. They're capitalizing on the opportunity of their push towards the top. High ground though. Munch just raining down shots. We have Hen in the bottom right. Thomas in the top right. These are two of the best playmakers in the game as Hen finds another one. Shockwave's about to come out. It's all up to Hen as he goes for height. Doesn't find it there, but still has the floppers. Thomas also looking for his own room. Can either of them solo clutch up against the trio on high ground? That's been the theme of Europe, and here we go.
And Thomas gets another elim. Thomas has the ability to do it. With 9 elims, it is a possibility. Two solo players. Oh my goodness, Hen's on height. The trio is now between the sandwich right now of Thomas HD and Hen. Hen is raining down some fire, and they're going to go down into the arms of Thomas HD. Hen and Thomas pick up elims. No build for Hen. This is an opportunity. An opportunity. Yes!
What a play!
Up and gets Thomas HD and Munch. Oh my goodness. Hen, what a way to close this out, and Sundown.
And that was sick. We've talked about how good he is, how him and Thomas are the two of the best individual clutchers in the final moments there, going back to back. Elimination for elimination, but in the end, 15th place team rocket themselves up the leaderboard with a victory royale.
And that's all you want, man. That's all you want is a chance, is an opportunity to represent your trio. We are getting close to the end, and we are going to need a monster breakdown and a leaderboard check from Zeke, Shao, and Reese. Analyst S, what you...
Bro. Day 2 of EU, y'all bringing the heat right now. Oh my gosh, I'm just shocked. Like,
bringing the hype.
Bringing the hype. Hen, first of all, I love that Sundown specifically yelled out the moment that Hen took this game into his hands. He lit a person that's chilling in this safe, and he just holds there for a moment. The minute he picks up the siphon, he's like, okay, no one else, I've got the lay of the land, I'm just going for it. You'll love to see it. Now, we have to take a look at the overall standings, because the story is still Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson. I don't know how they're doing this, how they're pulling this off, but look at this lead.
It's a lead that's shortening every single game based on what we're seeing over and over. This game, 21st place, they had 6 elims, so they made it work, and we'll break down how and why in just a moment. But look at some of the new names on this page. Flick, Anas, Thomas HD, 4th place, 45 elims, a victory royale, and 121 points.
And how does this sound for Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD? Last game, 15 elims victory royale. Now, 3rd with 13 eliminations. So they've I think they've tripled their points in 2 games coming up, and they've jumped up the leaderboard to 4th. And now look, only 3 points away from Kinzel, Wolfie, CRR in 3rd. So they're almost jumping up again into 3rd place from this play.
And on your kind of whiteboard, it says hype. It's for me just shock. And for these guys, the word is hunger. They want to get that top spot. They're climbing from the depths, the pits of these leaderboards. Right behind them, too, look now. And Deceptos Putric in 7th place. They were in the top 15 before. Benji Savage lets you have to fall because some trios need to be moved down as others move up. Floki, Clement, and Nakos are still here, though, in 8th, trying to survive with all this chaos and pandemonium going on around them in EU.
Usually we talk about this 6th to 10th page, and we're like, hey, you know what? Some of these names are the same. We're just seeing kind of consistent gameplay, and it's changing around every now and then. But this is just, it's all over the place. Teams are having huge pop-off games. They're moving left, right, and center, and this is the kind of excitement we really want from a grand finals.
I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson are like slowly like climbing this mountain. And every single game, there's a new trio that is grabbing onto their packs and saying, no, Not yet. Can they close this gap? We only have 3 games left. With performances like this, it can literally happen in the last game. Like, it's crazy to think as well, they swapped up their drop spots 2 games ago, and this is the result. These are the results we're seeing.
Yeah, and we were shocked about... Oh, yeah, go for it, because this is Retail Row.
I know, Retail Row. We've looked at this. This has been absolute pandemonium over in Retail Row. There's 4 teams landing here now. Just for a memory check, there was no one landing there since Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD left. People saw it, and they decided, hey, let's all go there at once.
And there's 4 teams at Starks too. You just saw Mitro and Mongraal trying to land, look up, and dip off. They go towards the garage, took a car to Retail Row after the fact, and there were more fights here for Stroky, Vidil, and Kylie in Retail Row.
So if you notice, this team, Fastroki, Kylie, and Vidil, were not one of the teams who landed here originally. So he had 4 teams that landed here, and then this is the team that landed in Lazy Lake. They said, hey, we need Storm Surge tags. Where is everyone? And apparently every single team has landed in Retail Row, so that's where they went to fight and get some Storm Surge tags.
After all the chaos in the early game and end game, it was pandemonium with Hen, a force of darkness on height, with a sick clutch, a trio in the midst with Thomas HD down below getting Elims too. We have literally just the most 2 insane clutch players playing the end game, a trio that just got dismembered over there at the end portion of the game too. Hen with the beautiful timing and play to get up top, get the win. We would need like 6 different packages to break that game down on how many things changed and what ended up happening in this game of EU.
With so many games left, this is just going to keep happening, right? Starks, it's no longer free. Mongraal, Mitro, Tayson, what are you guys going to do? How are you going to respond? Thomas HD, are you guys going to keep the ball rolling? Is there going to be some other trio that shows up and says, look, we're putting our name in the ring. We want some of this action, guys. This is everything I could have asked for and more out of the Heats. My biggest question is, can Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson hold on? Can they keep the ball rolling?
I think they can, but it all started with Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD inspiring the whole region to just take a risk, take a chance, and go for different drops. I'm wondering what else is affected around the map.
In all honesty, I just want to see 8 teams land there now. That's what's the like. Surely that's the natural next step. We've seen 3, and then we've seen teams in Retail Row landed there. Let's just all go start for this next game. Let's give us a good package to something to talk about, something crazy.
The story is like insane, you know? It's like, okay, Thomas rallies the entire lobby. If Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson win, then they defeated the entire lobby trying to contest it. Otherwise, you're looking at Thomas HD's trio, and it's like they pulled off the unthinkable. It could go either way, Fortnite fam. And we're coming down here to the last handful of games. We gotta kick it back over to our casters. We gotta keep the action going, the momentum going forward. We hope you're enjoying all the action. For now, though, let's dip back onto the battle bus. We got Sundown and Sancho to take us in.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, as we've loaded on in, and this is match number 10 in total. We have 3 more to go today, and then we'll crown our FNCS Chapter 2 Season 4 European champions. They'll be walking away with the axe. You can already see decent amount of spread going on here. Some triangles over at Stark, so there's definitely going to be a contention going on, but otherwise there's a decent spread of teams. However, it feels like there's a couple more people also lurking on those out route kind of paths just outside of Stark, as we're going to swing on over with our match 9 winners, Hen, Deceptos, and Patrick.
And what a great performance from Hen, the clutch factor that he has. Coming 15th place going into that match, getting the clutch victory royale as a solo, got them to 7th place. That is going to be huge, and that is thousands of dollars of pop-off game potential right then and there. And we've been talking about it the entire time. We've been asking, when is Hen and Deceptos Patrick going to pop off? They had so many great pop-offs in heats. They kind of surprised everyone by strong performance. I believe in one of their heats or qualifiers, they had like 3 victory royales. They look super strong going into the grand finals. And unfortunately, it took them a while to get their footing here. And finally, what a big way to get that foot through the door here. And having an opportunity to at least get into the top 3 now, considering that if they get another pop-off game, Sundown, it's possible that they could get it right up in there really easy.
Yes, so far, the story of day 2 has been the fact Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson opened up big, and then all of a sudden everyone had enough. They're like, why are we so scared of them? They haven't had fights this whole time. Let's go see what's going on. As actually, we're going to swing way away from Stark here. Mongraal and Tayson out in the middle of nowhere. So this is something I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. Having a secondary drop spot, having somewhere to go when you are contested, whether it's a scavenger route or being able to go game plan somewhere else. It looks like a call was made. However, that call might come to bite them in the heel as Tayson gets picked up by himself. Mongraal forced to rift away without a shotgun, no excess heals, just a shockwave, attack SMG, an AR, and a prayer that he doesn't draw any attention as him and Mitro are going to be forced out and into a really rough scavenger route.
This kind of reminds me of that Pikachu meme. It's like you post that you have the power POI, and they're like, we have this uncontested, come and take it. And all of a sudden, when Trio starts showing up and contesting you, you got that Pikachu surprise play. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't expecting this. You gotta expect this. It is kind of what happens in most FNCS competitive play. When someone builds a big lead, the only way to slow them down is to contest, and it's to fight, as you're seeing in the feed, the dual Benji. So that is another contestant spot that we're seeing, that we're watching here. But the story is, can Mongraal and Mitro survive this mental test? We all know mechanically in game, they know how to rocket, they know how to slay, they know how to box fight. But a big important factor in FNCS competitive is their mental.
The mental is what matters so incredibly much, but we've seen before that as long as Mongraal is on his feet, he's going to be capable. However, they were forced to rift out, and you saw the shakedown come through as well, so there's going to be absolutely no opportunity to get Tayson back here. He's going to be forced into a backseat coaching role, and now, again, Mongraal is desperately looking for any form of shockwave before he gets caught into a fight, but Blaster Alpha and Nikov, the ones who got the elimination, are Tayson. They see red in their eyes. They see that first place. And if you're not ready to defend yourself, you're going to go down quick. Mongraal gets picked up. Shakedown onto him. It's the one time he's been bullied so far. The last 3 games feel like they're getting to him a little bit now as Mitro shaking down, and he's going to be running away, trying to avoid going down here in 31st, but AR shots from both sides. Matzo Amplify and ADN on top of Ruins doing what they do best, looking for those AR tags, and it seems like 3 games in a row, Mitro, Mongraal, and Tayson, and you know what? He gave it up. He said, if I'm going down to the Train H boys over there in the Ruins. You took my other 2 teammates. We'll give 1 point over there, but that is tough. And again, hey, I'll say it one time. If you're in first place there, if you have the only spot with a vault, and then a team is able to win, or not win, but at least push into the top 3 twice in a row with double-digit eliminations, you better have a backup plan. All you need at this point from that top trio is 1 good game, and nobody else will be able to catch you. You need to keep a little bit of pressure. You cannot crumble in the final moments. And it seems like that might be that horror story from Season X, the MMB trio, where they dominated from wire to wire and then came up short in the final moments.
Oh man, you just gave me goosebumps, man. It's like you're telling a spooky tale. We're all sitting around a campfire and you're like, let me tell you the tale of what went down in Season X. So it just shows you that the outer POI teams are very strong teams. It's a very dense talent pool out there, and you kind of test those waters out there. And I think at this point, Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson, you talked about having a secondary backup plan. I think they still have to give it a chance. They have a couple of games to deal with. Already, we've already seen Mitro, we've seen Yanis, Xweez, and Andalex. Kenzel, Wolfies, and CRR are the ones that are in striking distance. A new member now is Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD. Haven't really capitalized them not being around, so maybe, why not? Take a dip into that. Take a stab back into it and stake your claim back in the Stark industry.
It's possible to be able to do it. They've won that fight a number of times. It's very practiced. The issue is when there's more than just one trio there, it turns into a clown fiesta. You can cue the circus music that everyone loves in the Fortnite community because it is quite literally people trying to 50-50 guaranteed chess, desperately trying to get a vault key, maybe get the vault key and then dip for a second for an opportunity to come back in, deny the people those resources, and then get the late rotation as the storm has come through. We've seen people do that before, but now, with 3 matches on the table, Mongraal, Mitro, Tayson, off. Andelix Gen is currently in second. They both came from behind to get their wins in the FNCS Duos and the Invitational. They've read this book before. The question is, can they write a sequel and will it be that bestseller? Because coming into the match, they are the ones in striking distance. There's a number of other teams who are about 70 plus points out who could potentially do it. This team 40 points out. That's a solid victory royale to then be nose to nose with that top trio again. And if anybody is capable of doing it, it's Jonas, Duck on top, aka X Squeeze, and Andalax.
You're taking a look here as well in 5th spot. Flois and Dreda and Louis. They're another trio that have been having a very quiet day. And Dreda is one of the top slayers in the region and in the grand finals, doing really well, picking up double-digit elims so far. So that is another trio that we haven't seen a lot on the desk here on the broadcast, but no doubt they are actually making waves and climbing baby steps their way up their leaderboard. Wolfie, CRR, Kenzel, we saw in the previous match that it was essentially up to Kenzel to kind of hold on as long as possible, and then he got taken out quickly on a rotation. So maybe that mental check, you see that trio that I mentioned, Flois picking up some elims there in the feed. That team is still around. Listen, it was looking like the Mongraal Mitro Tayson show. It looked like we were just all watching Mongraal stream from a secondary POV, but not so fast. The challenge, they hit the Giant in the jaw. Question is, does the Giant have enough time to get back up? And if the Giant does, I think one big game from Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson will put it all out of reach.
And the key thing is right now is, yes, while the entire leaderboard is squeezing up to them, we talked about it before. The fact that they opened up such a monstrous lead, they still have 3 victory royales. They're still, I think, in terms of even with those absolutely horrendous placements right there. And, missed chunk
Oh, my
splash.
goodness.
Speak of absolutely horrendous there. And again, sorry, don't mean to continue the train, but saw in the Elam Hen actually ended up getting a knock on Janice, so absolutely horrendous is turning into horrific. As we said, while they built up such a huge lead, the top teams, the top 3, and the one team who mattered, the French trio coming out of Sweaty Sands, hasn't been able to capitalize on that opportunity. They've stumbled, so that Hair, despite him dawdling, despite him going and grabbing some tea and maybe stopping over to help a neighbor with a fence or something, they're unable to close that gap right now, and again, getting a little bit of harassment put onto them.
Taking a look here, the record for day 2 points in all regions was set, then matched in the last 2 games. It's just showing you when push comes to shove, when you only have a very limited opportunities, people would just play out of their minds, play out of their bodies, have what are you looking at? An extraterrestrial type performance, out of this world performance, and that is what we're watching unfold right in front of us in Hen and Deceptos and Patre. Hen, he's one of those players that could heat up and microwave himself, and I think that confidence, those 2 major performances, and especially that clutch that Hen had in the previous, getting that victory royale, could be the thing that kind of catapults him, and that is another dangerous up-and-coming trio that is knocking on the front door, that top 5.
And Deceptos has been around forever as well, somebody who is very, very, very consistent, the player for Gamers Origin. And Patrick, as of late, has had some very incredible results as well for the solos. So it's been largely them getting their chemistry. But I'm going to put myself a little bit on blast here. They were my prediction during the Week 2 qualifier. But kind of when we talk about them, like with the analysts, I always call them a bargain Thomas HD trio. They have the same kind of clutch potential in the clutch duo between Hen and Deceptos. That's my analog for Thomas Thomas and Anas on their side. They're still a Become Legends player on either opportunity there, and they have some of the big moments and some of the huge solo results, but not quite necessarily there in the team modes. And there seems like right now they're pushing that level up a little bit more, but their issue has never been their ceiling, it's been their floor. You have to bring that skill floor and your placement floor up if you want to be able to contend seriously for a top 3. And while kind of right now, that amazing performance of last game is pushing them up into contention, they need to ride the momentum, which is something we've seen they're capable of doing.
Seeing in the feed that the trios, Floki, Clement, and Akos, are having their momentum slowed down a bit, considering that they were in the top 3 and they're sliding down to 8. There's people moving up, and now we have trios moving down as Flois as well. That is our top 5. I already saw Indretta getting confirmed in the feed, so we've gotten some multiple volatile action happening in the top 10, and it's not over yet until the final bell has been rung, and we're still, this is game, essentially the last of the 3 here. We still have 2 more going in. This is the last moments, the last frames, and Cammy, Rexo, and Altor are doing really well. They got a victory royale here today, and that's going to be a strong opportunity to at least stop the slide for the moment, because Hen and Anas and Thomas HD, that they just came out of nowhere, man. They just out of nowhere just heated up, and wow, man, that was just a crazy ride those past 2 games to see these trios that we've been hyping up the entire heats kind of perform here in grand finals to make us feel like, hey, at least we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and another trio who I ended up predicting and has been unable to take advantage of the opportunity so far today with only 35 points here is Floki, Clement, and Nakos. And I'm actually a little confused because I saw one of them get knocked and I thought confirmed early, but I guess not coming through there. Is Clement going to pick up another Elim on his side? This is something we see this trio do very often. They are not afraid to fight wall-to-wall and box-to-box in the mid-game situation. They do so more often than any other trio in the region, and they're able to convert on that there, finding 2 eliminations in what feels like getting a footing in the game for the first time in a while.
And we are going to get a scary in-game again. We saw a scary one up in the northwest area, all aquatic, but now we have a mountainous terrain. There's 2 of them, a crazy valley to go through with the river, and at the same time a bridge that cannot be broken. That's going to be interesting to see how the in-game leaders navigate this treacherous in-game.
And we talk about the tale of Old Man Mountain. For those of you unfamiliar with competitive Fortnite, when you get into those endgame zones, the safe zones move completely outside of where the current one. It's called the moving circles, and it happens between zones 6 and 9. But the tale as old as time is Old Man Mountain will always claim his toll, and the change in verticality forces players to either burn utility, build up quickly, or just fall. And I reclaim always go back to the epic Mr. Savage Shadow Bomb clip that qualified him for the World Cup as the epitome of Old Man Mountain taking it. But right now, we're just going to see who's able to get some space, as yet again, we talk about it, our second place trio unable to capitalize on the opportunity that is given, handed to them, literally handed to them on a golden platter, but they're not finding the placements and eliminations to make up for the fact that Mitro and Mongrel are getting stonewalled right now.
I can tell you who's taking advantage, though. That's Hen, Deceptos, and Patrick. Hen getting on the left side of that Elim feed on Wolfies. So we'll see if Kenzel Wolfies and CRR, if they are in shambles. Right now, Andalex and Xweez are in shambles. It's just a matter of look at it. Yeah, I mean, the builds are not there, and you were taking a look at the zone. It's going to be all between all that terrain. It's going to have the river in it. There's going to be multiple layers to navigate. It's just not looking good. They're going to desperately need looking for a refresh. Sundown.
This is one of the worst areas in the entire game for players to have these moving zones. The rapid change in verticality and how quickly every single direction, if you're looking down there, you can see the river on either side. That's a mountain, but it's a steep drop off no matter which way you go. So there's going to be no reprieve regardless of which direction those moving zones pull. And the half in, half out reveal, that's zone number 5, is going to play a big factor in determining who is able to dictate the pace to the end game. As you can see there, despite the knock coming through on Hen, that was another snipe. We've seen him putting in work with that weapon as well. So we kind of talk about the quote-unquote bargain Thomas HD. He says, hey, I could do it with a sniper as well. We saw him converting on Janus earlier. The knock on the Wolfie's not getting ticked over, but we get a lay of the land, and we kind of get an idea of where that fourth zone is going to be as everyone is pulling towards the mountain there on that east side.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what my wife told me. Off-brand is just as good as the big brand, and the off-brand is rocking it at the moment, solidifying themselves with an opportunity to kind of sneak on away in a top 5 finish, and we are watching this action unfold as Florix gets taken down by Analyx. The number 2 trio doing their best as they do to hold on, and that could be that refresh, that frag that they need to desperately, if they can find any kind of mobility just beyond this crash pad, they're looking good. Taking a look at their builds, not looking solid right now, but they're going to kind of hold on tight together, and there's the rest of that trio down below. They're kind of squeezed in between the two as Florix does get picked up, so they're not going to be able to take advantage or find any of that reprieval loot that they were looking for there, Sundown.
Which is really, really what they feel like they need. You can tell. Oh no, did they just lose the shockwave? They left the shockwave on top of the cone and through the wall replace. Wow. It fell. That's disastrous. That is awful game management right there from McSqueeze. And we talk about in the moments when you have to do everything right, losing your one utility, your one vertical and horizontal utility tool in such a tremendous moving zone area with huge changes in verticality is going to end up spelling potential disaster for them. However, the disaster going to be averted for now as the 5th zone lands smack on top of their head, and it's going to come down to whether or not they can win this fight against the team that spitefully stole that shockwave away.
They have 6 splashes. They have peppermints that kind of make a crazy rotation. This is our second place team who have yet to capitalize on Mongraal sitting in first place. They're getting a nice tag there. Yes, the Swedes go ahead and confirm that, so it's going to slowly surely there. Look how close. Look at this right-hand peak. Look at it. They're just holding on for dear life, and another knock. Wow, on Norwood. So that's big. That's huge. They were in shambles, and that might be all that they needed, Sundown.
I didn't see him able to get a shockwave, but he is able to snag away a shotgun upgrade there. You can see Clement and Co. all the way down on the low ground. Utter shambles in terms of HP, but they got the elims that they're so well known for. The question is, 6 elims, plenty of excess utility, but can they make this rotation up the side of the mountain? There's the Gorgeous Gorge bridge they're trying to make up now. Floki will get the conversion onto Jaspe a little late to get some bonus siphon onto him. Good job coning their head in, but they're coming in the absolute low ground, which is such a risky area. This is a trio, again, we talked about it, they've been banking on consistency points, but running into a tough time. Now building with hard mats. 18 trios remaining. One more will go down, and the placement points will start. And the second versus the 4th team on the walls of each other right now, and Andalex is going to hastily retreat, saying, not now, not outside of placement points, be safe.
We took a look at 4th place, and now it's on 3rd place right here. Kenzel again for the 2nd game back-to-back, riding solo dolo. He has some shockwaves if he gets into some dangerous situations, has some decent amount of builds, but it is the lack of power weapons that's going to hurt Kenzel. No doubt Kenzel is going to do his best to kind of image as possible. A trio could easily overcome him. Yes, you got one player, but with that blue power pump, it's not going to be enough at all. You're going to get traded out so easily, but hey, Kenzel, all you gotta do is stay alive. Just get to placements and you'll be able to get closer and closer and get away from Flickanos and Thomas HT, who are right behind you.
And he was trying to bait somebody dropping down into that box, knowing he had priority position on the zone, but it's gotta feel bad if you're CR and Wolfies. That's 2 games in a row. They pulled that priority there in that first moving zone, but everyone has been down and they're not able to capitalize. It would have been a great opportunity to climb up the board, but the story so far has been the inability to get the key points you need. Get to pick there, but that's only one more as still 18 trios are on their feet. We're gonna wait for the replay to catch up here in a second as Kenzo gets dropped all the way down, but let's take a look at Height and an unfamiliar name up there for the first time as Skype, Yaxu, and Falconly are going to force Anas, Flick, and Thomas HD down. We're going to go down all the way to the water to Kinzo, doing his best Dolphin impression right now, trying to find some shots on the side as placement points begin to tick over. 16 trios remain. Nikov getting a knock onto Robabs there. Kinzo eats a huge shot with his teeth there, 35 HP. Will he result to the shockwave? Will he use it and position himself correctly? You hear the chug splashes go out on the wall. Out of dodge. It gets
my
smacked
goodness.
right away.
Unbelievable. As Sweeze is still alive, though, as Sweeze has an opportunity just to get a little bit of points, but it's going to really hurt because, look, he's at the very bottom, and he has to go up this elevation, and the Trainhard trio of Falconry, Yasuo, and Skite are looking to have the opportunity now to add some points to their leaderboard and be able to get up more. These are thousands and thousands of dollars victory royale here that's up for grabs. Now let's take a look here at some other trios. Now we got Nikov, all with his trio of mates, looking very strong, but the story here is Andalex and Xweeze who are still in this. Look at them in shambles on the low ground as Nikov picks up an Elim. That trio is fighting at full force. And now look at your left side here. The storm is going up and up Old Man Mountain.
Old Man Mountain claiming his toll, first in utility, then in builds, then in your tournament, potentially ending right there. You can see still
Nikov.
2 games after this, but a huge pickoff from Nikov in the storm. This is what we talked about. You got to get the pickups, and then you got to find a way around the mountain. The bandage cannon will bide him some time, but right now, Duck on top goes down, and if you have to capitalize, if you're Andalex, and into the box of Deceptos he goes, gets a much-needed siphon, has some minis as well, but needs some space. Plenty of builds in a second pickup right away there by Andalex. That was massive, and Nikov finds some room as well. The individual plays continuing here, Sancho.
Hen picks up an Elim as well. Now it's about solo stars on the top and right of the screen. Nikov and Andalex doing all they can to back their trio through. On your left side, you're seeing Trainhard trio is being contested by Nakos for the brief moment here. That is going to be something to watch. And look at the very bottom of that left side. It is Become Legends Hen with another clutch performance as Altor and Raxo go for height against Trainhard. And there it is, a nice opportunity to hold on to. But the story is our second place team on your bottom right, Andalex doing all that he can to hold on and trying to close the gap. Nikov had a great performance, but look at this build up on height. Oh my goodness. And down below it's Matzo and ADN, and they have an opportunity, and all they have to do is chop this down. And Raxo, oh my goodness, that was scary.
He was able to hit the bouncer to give himself some of the fall damage immunity, now ignoring Skite all the way up on the high ground as Kami is still up there, and he's going to be able to take it. And it looks like Gamma Gaming, Kami, and Roxo looking for victory number 2 on the day here as they have a 2v2 against the low ground duo right now. And you can see them trying to get the mats in the correct spot. Roscoe is the one who's going to stay up on the high ground. No, as I say that, he drops the flopper, which indicates he's going to go down. Kami's going to stay up. Nope, they swap it again as Roscoe is the one with the HP lead. So Kami's going to go hunting. Roscoe's going to play for the heal off, hoping that he can get an angle. He has small fries found there as well. So ADN and Matzo are going to try to
no, Kami!
Excuse me, Kami, you okay there? But he's going to be more than fine knowing that Roscoe is going to pop a flop in the zone. As long as there's no bandage cannon in play, he'll be the one to walk away with the victory. And as Matzo ticks over to the 9th zone there, Roscoe, Artur, and Gamma Kami pick up their second victory royale.
With 9 E-limbs, and it comes on down to the smallest of fries. 2 games left. Let's get a breakdown and a leaderboard check from the analyst desk. Zeke, Shio, and Reese. What you got for us?
Welcome back to the analyst desk. We got our boy Shio right here. This is him, Shio. Just kidding. Yo, this is just like, there's so much going on. My mental fortitude right now is about a big 0 because of everything transpiring from drop spots to end game. It's all happening so quickly. We have to take a look at the standings. Mongraal, Mitro, Tayson, the Titans that had pulled away. They've been shut down 2 games in a row. And now the standings are closing. These gaps are closing. Look at the point difference now.
Wow, 192 to 173. Frozen in time in first place, like you mentioned, Zeke. Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson now actually have a closer race they have to finish in these next 2 games.
And we know Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson these last 3 games have struggled a little bit. They've only managed to get 6 points total over the last 3 games. Before that, in their first 6, their average was 28 points a game. So obviously they're really struggling now that they're being contested. So we're going to have to take a deep dive into that in our package to see exactly what's going on.
And Lex, that last game was doing so well. Past that, too, Raxo came in, Artor getting that win. A very confusing win that went down to the last moment, last wire. 2 victory royales for those guys. This next game will be so close, even on this page, 120 to 94. That is a difference of just a victory royale. If any of these teams win, they can do exactly what Raxo did that last game and just get up into that top 5.
Yeah, you know, Raxo moving up into the top 3 should be kind of motivation for some of these guys, 6th to 10th. You know, the tournament's not over. Even if they're 6th to 10th, their placements are still very, very good, and this is still a very solid performance. However, these guys should know that they need a big game to get up there into that bigger prize money.
Guys, I'm so worried. We're going to break down specifically what has transpired here with Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson. But something has shaken them, and that is Thomas HD. And now they're really close. They're all get back. They need to go into preservation mode, right? I get that they feel they don't have Starks anymore, but what they're doing and what they did in this game isn't the play. So please break down what exactly happened and how they can hope to correct this, because they still have a lead. They can still do it, but it needs to happen right here, right now.
Yeah, the dust settled a little bit. They went into preservation mode, I would say, last game. Their mental going through kind of like a hyperbolic time chamber. They've chosen to go Sweaty Sands. I mean, Reese, what happened over here?
So look, this looks like a very weird drop for them. They're splitting. Mitro's landed in the grass. It's odd, no loot, but you got to understand the context behind what was actually happening. You know, so many teams were coming Stark that they said, okay, we need to go and land somewhere else, and they know that Sweaty Sands was uncontested. Flying in, their drops were not that good at all, and if they'd landed, the chances of them being eliminated by Andalex's team off spawn was very high. Not too sure what was going on to Mitro there. However, they go down, and they had to back out from that instead of contesting off spawn in hopes that they would actually be able to get any eliminations.
And this was the reason why Anas, Thomas HD, and Flake being able to get Starks uncontested, looking good, but that endgame was just way too chaotic. This is a low ground trio, and there was a mountain in the way of that low ground. So it was very, very difficult for these guys to be able to get into that clutch mode. Very difficult to go low first and then Shockwave for high. A Shockwave actually separated the whole trio. They ended up going down fast.
And that's what we see very commonly about these trios who try to use kind of their mobility in the early moving, say that first moving zone. A lot of the times they try to use their mobility like the shockwaves or the crash pads, and it's so unreliable because it's really good solo mobility rather than trio mobility. So these players get split up, and then it just becomes a solo game and they get picked off individually at that point. And obviously our victory royale there by Raxo, Cammy, and Artor going down to a big heal off. Great job splitting all of those white heals to Raxo at this point and picked up the big victory royale.
And Raxo had the best position too after that ultimate height build fight that we saw just the zone before. He actually went all the way towards the back, was the last person to land, so he had the most info. He knew the best places to hide while healing, and he got the heals at the last second too. So very good from him there in his trio. They're now in 3rd place. We'll see what ends up happening, and if anyone else in the top 10 can boost up and over.
And for Raxo and his trio, they already doubled their points. They came into day 1 with only 41. Now think about that. They've earned 100 points, and now they're in top 3. That's fantastic. If they don't even make it to first, just being able to say at the end of the day, I made top 3 after coming in with a performance of day 1 like it was, that's going to be incredible. That's so much prize money, so much recognition. But now the question becomes, with 2 games left, what can Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson do? I'm very concerned that Genis is going to take this away, right? His trio is only 20 points behind. This is striking distance. They can do this.
They can, but I feel like Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson have had that breather. They've taken 2 games. They'll be back, hopefully, at Starks or somewhere where they look confident.
Yeah, they've made the mistakes already. These guys are now going to go, we tried this, that didn't work. We tried this, that didn't work. Let's get back to our bread and butter Stark Industries.
Bro, they have to. They got to run it back. They have the pieces. They just need to reset themselves, center back up, and aim towards the end of the last 2 games. Fortnite fam, 2 games left. Who will be the FNCS champion? We're going back into game. Let's do this.
Thank you so much, Zeke. 2 games left, and all is semi up for grabs here. We're seeing some great performances. The pop off is all coming down, and they're trying to catch up. That The first day and a little bit of this one. I am Sancho West alongside Sundown, and it has been an amazing ride. And while I have this opportunity, I would like to thank everybody on the production side, Shayo, Reese, and of course Zeke. It has been an honor and it has been a privilege calling all the action. And man, just 2 more and that's it. It's over. 2 games.
Yeah, shout out to all of the observers, the directors,
Yes.
everyone behind the scenes who makes this all happen. But also, shout out to all the players for playing their absolute hearts out and making these last kind of games very, very, very interesting down to the wire. And then also, shout out to you, the viewers at home, all the boys and the girls, however you identify, however you are watching, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, watch.fortnite.com, or in-game on Party Royale Island. Thank you so much for joining us and letting us give these players an opportunity to show just how freaking good they are, as the action today has been bar none some of the best competitive Fortnite I've had the honor of casting. And right now we are on board here with our 3rd place team, who has rocketed themselves up the leaderboard. 99 points today compared to their 42 yesterday. So far from Gamma Gaming, Cammy, Roscoe, and Artur.
Here it is. These are the slight moments here. Everyone always is focused on first place, as we see Benji Lecce just sitting outside the top 10 here. They have an opportunity. Who knows, man? They could pop off 2 games coming back to back. We've been seeing the pop-offs. We all been waiting for Benji Lecce and Savage. These are the times that they tend to pop off, considering that they have slow starts. But could all those slow starts kind of catch up to them? I mean, it looks like it's appearing so.
And I mean, right now coming into this game, they were in 10th place. And looking at kind of how they've played the entire trios, I would say that's about representative of what they've done. And now we're going to hop back on board here. Here is that #1 team hitting their alternative route, saying we'll leave those 3 teams over there, and they're just on the western side, outside of the Lumberjam. You can see immediately they have a legendary AR onto Mongo. They're going to look to set up for an ambush, but at contact, they're just kind of backing off. Don't want to take too much of a risk. And it seems like, to me, there's a little bit of hesitancy around this alternative route. I'd be very interested to know how often these guys have practiced one of these alternative routes, as there are a bunch of other scavengers who kind of play this area. There's a couple of guaranteed henchman chests down here that make this not quite so much of a risk compared to some of the other scavenger routes, but also just ipso facto, because of where they are on the map, they're rotating right.
And that will be interesting. 2nd place. If they clash together, we know that throughout historically in these things, the scavenger team is not going to have the power advantage when it comes to a team landing at a POI, especially as powerful as Sweaty Sands. As my boy Ozzy Antic stated, there has been a little bit of an upgrade with the trick or treat candy that's been around.
Yeah, but the trick or treat, all done for today. The candy's still there, but it's all serious business, as we've seen. Tayson, Mitro, and Mongo ran away with it. They were the freight train on day 1. Then matches 1 and 2 today, 5 and 6 overall, 17 points and then 38 points. They're averaging 25 plus points a game. Since then, they've only been able to scrounge up 6 total points, and those were all from the eliminations in another shambles game. So the second somebody stepped up to the table and said, hey, what do you got? Well, they got forced away, and now can they continue to just hold off the horde that is EU? And here is their #1 challenger, the one looking for the belt, to deny Mitro and Mongrel that signature victory, the trophy on the shelf, and its players who already have one.
I gotta say, though, to be real, yeah, Thomas HD, they're the one that stepped up for that brief moment, showed the chink in their armor, showed the weakness, showed that they had a weak spot. Yeah, I get that, but it was then like four other trios decided to all step up at the same time once they saw that the beast was vulnerable. To be fair, Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson, they worked really hard to build that lead. And, you know, I would guess the rest of the EU region is probably kicking themselves knowing that they could have had those opportunities earlier on. But when you second guess yourself, it's just like when you cross the road, like in those old school games, you know, you gotta be no hesitation. You just gotta get it. You know what I mean? And that hesitation may have cost a lot of trios opportunity to walk away with the FNCS Trios Championship. And at the end of the day, a lot of money is going to be rewarded and the Axe of Champions.
Look at the bottom right of the map. Look at the bottom of the map right now. Oh, he saw the pings. Oh, that's so unfortunate. So, Micho, Mongo, and Tayson, those are the yellow triangles in the bottom right-hand corner there. It might be a little bit difficult to see for some of our mobile users out there as well, but they were trying to set up an ambush. They're trying to cut off that white line rotation path, knowing that Andalex, Duck on Top, aka X-Squeeze, and Wave Janus are going to be rotating along that path. They're trying to secure the victory royale. They're trying to secure the overall tournament win right now by stopping them on their rotation here. If they're able to deny this rotation and not let these guys go past, that's it. It's over. We could be watching the entirety of the tournament come down to a single engagement, but they spotted it out, and will they be able to go around? As we're now going to swing on two of kind of our movers and shakers, two of the catalysts, two of the trios who've been popping around the map a little bit more actively than anybody else. It's Fadil and Fastroki now fighting off against.
They were very dangerous in the heats. They took out a lot of big names, so this is not going to be an easy engagement as, yes, Thomas is gone, and Austin Flick going to have to do it solo. This is a trio that is just moving up, and we've already seen Wolfies, Kenzel, CRR. They are only 3 points right behind them. Kenzel, Wolfies, and CRR have unable to take advantage as well of Mongo's, Mitro's, Tayson slide, but now they have to focus in and deal with the challenge of Kylie, Fastroki, and Badil, who had a very strong heats, and now the grand finals just have unable to produce that. But we saw this in heats, man. Just those last 2 games, Badil was able just to show up and all of a sudden start slaying.
Yeah, and Fadil is somebody, we've talked about it time and time again. We talked about it during the qualifiers, able to go toe-to-toe with the best in the region during the solos competition, just absolutely waxing Mongrel 65% of the time. We saw him put him in a blender as well during the heat competition, but Mongrel's been the one blending everyone else, as Anas is able to find a good shot there, but it's only enough of a reprieve to pop his big shield, which to me shows how nervous he is. He's not confident enough to get the siphon. He doesn't want to go down here knowing that Flick has no excess shields. He's going to be the one to make the play. He's the one with that epic pump shotgun. He has the ability to hit those big 200 damage pumps, and he needs to make something happen, especially with only the 4 builds. You can see that under the 1 there on the Elim counter, so it's going to be a quick little ambush shot. However, each one of these players, minus Vadil, is in a relatively healthy range. Now you can see we're going to rotate back over to another team in contention. It's Wolfie, CRR, and Kinzel.
It's so dangerous. We've already seen Kenzel be back-to-back solos all by himself. It was up to, him to kind of hold on to placement points and unable to do that. Wolfies and CRR have already gone down twice. They cannot afford. The slide has already begun. They were in top 3 for the longest time. They worked really hard to get there with a phenomenal day 1 performance. Their day 2 was getting just as good, and unfortunately they hit, like you mentioned before, a stone wall. But Kenzel, the back-to-back DreamHack champion, I just like to say that because that is an unbelievable feat in itself. Wrangle in the other solo stars, the CRR Wolfies. They've been cementing themselves as a strong trio, and now we're just seeing the inconsistencies kind of show its ugly head at the most inopportune time, considering there's only 2 games left, including this one. We're getting closer and closer to the end game. I think, actually, to quote that famous doctor, it's the end game now, Sundown. We're in the end game now.
And the end game for this game is what's going to matter, but keeping an eye on the top left, Tayson gets a knock onto Gianza. If they're able to convert onto that and just staying in the lobby is what's most important. But we've also saw in kind of that match number 9 situation, you can't draw too much attention to yourselves. You have honestly quite larger than a target on your back. It is a missile silo. It's a huge red X that everyone is looking for and trying to figure out where you are. You can even see Jonas, Duck on Top, Andalex marking some spots here. But currently, our number 2 ranked team, the only one who can realistically catch Mitro, Mongo, and Tayson, they're below that Storm Surge threshold. And right now, they're starting to take shots from the Rift. They're trying to get on the opposite side of this, but they're going to be very heavily split out. They're the orange triangles there. there, and they're being cut off on that rotation by Mitro, Mongo, and Tayson. X-Squeeze takes a ton of damage, Duck on top, down to just 20 HP. Janus desperately trying to find room to pop some of those mini pots, and you know the pressure's coming. Storm Surge is also coming. There's another team on their back, but Nems gets picked off. Sometimes all it takes is a couple bullets thrown in the right direction, and Nems going down there might have been that pivotal moment. The key thing, you're throwing a lifeline into the tournament, and it was Nems to push them above the Storm Surge. The 2 tags coming through. Andalex trying to snipe his teammates out with the bandage cannon, chucking slurp fishes. This is desperation. Getting the conversion onto their first elimination, but they cannot go down here. They have to make this rotation, and it seems like it's almost too early in the game for this pivotal of an opportunity. But looking back in the storm, it's Mongo and Mitro. They're the ones who got bogged down in the storm. They recognized that and got out of dodge. What a great rotation from Andalex, Janus, and X-Squeeze to get X-Squeeze to get out of there. And now Tayson, Mitro, and Mongo are in the same situation we talked about, desperately having to avoid. They're in the zone and they're stuck. You can't all go down here. They have to find these Elims and the Siphons. There's no white heals. There's no campfires. They don't have a fishing rod to hit the double pool right there. As long as Doko doesn't give them the Siphon, they're going to go down for what will be the 4th game here. Mitro gets a Siphon ticked over. He's going to be on his feet. Tayson is down. The Elim will finally come through, but they have such a long run, and the 2 points isn't going to be enough, as we already saw the second place team rotate ahead of them.
This is the intensity that we're witnessing right here. The tournament is